Hey guys, check it out. You're watching Jonathan Clarke on YouTube. Oh no! I would love for Kylie Control to know that I love her with all of my heart, and I think she is one of the strongest people that I have ever seen in my life. And I've given Kylie Control so much praise on this YouTube channel for how much she's gone on to mean to each and every one of you, because no matter what our story is, no matter who we are, we've all taken something special away from Kylie Control and her story, that she wanted to be seen and heard by more people than ever before. And I've heard a lot of podcast interviews that Kylie Control has done more recently. She is so excited about her upcoming album and such things as Leg 2 of the Worlds Collide Tour, which will now include Camp Rock this summer, is going to be really exciting for a lot of fans of Descendants of Zombies. We not only have Descendants of Zombies, but we also have Camp Rock 3, which is the first Camp Rock movie, and I think over almost 15 years. It's really hard to believe that 15 years has passed, come and gone, since Camp Rock became a part of our lives for the first time ever in September of 2006. I remember being so excited for things like Hannah Montana and Camp Rock because of their vibe and just how appreciative they were of the moments they had to share with each and every one of you. But when it comes to appreciation and that level of appreciation you want to see Disney stars and Disney girls get to, it came in the form of Descendants of Zombies, because I have never seen a group of cast members so passionate about bringing something to life and showing so much incentive along with so much heart and dedication. That's what I put behind every video that I've ever created. You know something? I see a lot of myself in these stars because I put a lot of heart and dedication into these videos, because I seem to have only ever had one hope, and that was that somebody out there was going to think this channel was cool, and that I was the coolest guy ever to create Descendants of Zombies videos, having the chance to share with you my story. That sometimes the stories I shared were really crazy, oftentimes really funny, but you know something? That's what allowed us to experience every emotion in the book. I remember when Cameron Boyce passed away in 2019, and everybody was so emotionally overcome, especially the stars. And I remember reading some of the first news bulletins that were thrown up on news websites, and I just wanted to be there for the stars, and I wanted to be there for all of you. Now, a lot of columnists on YouTube took to their YouTube channels with their own form of these tributes, but they never really talked to you about how much Cameron Boyce had meant to them. And I remember putting together some of my first ever videos on Cameron Boyce, and what I wanted to do was really put my heart into these videos to help you make sense of what was happening, especially the stars who were really young at the time, really figuring out their place in the world. And I just wanted to be there for them, and I wanted to be there for all of you. I wanted to experience something special, and I wanted to have the chance to be a part of it. And then Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires happens, and here comes Freya Sky and Malachi Burton. We had seen them on shows like Wizards Beyond Waverly Place and Villains of Valley View, and their contributions to those shows were so special. But the chemistry they brought to Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires and had for each other, along with the respect they had for their friendship and their working relationship, was really second to none. It truly blew the minds of everybody who was a producer and a writer behind the script of Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires, and we've held it close to our hearts for forever, because I think they are going to offer something special to Zombies 5, which now suggests that mermaids, pirates, witches, sirens, everything mixed into one, could have something special to offer to this franchise and truly bring it to life. And be it that I've lived here on this island for forever, that I've had so many stories associated with mermaids, pirates, witches, ghosts, people going missing all the time while they're berry picking in the forest, going missed to sea. It really allows me to bring these videos to life. I've lived here on this island for forever. The scenery here is exceptionally breathtaking and really beautiful, and I've just loved being here because it's allowed me to bring these videos to life. I've obviously saw something special in Descendants of Zombies for forever. I feel like I've been a part of it for forever. I feel like I've been attending Oradon Prep and Merlin Academy for pretty much all of my life, and it led me to all of you. I feel like I've been walking a path or a road for forever that led me to all of you, because as a YouTube content creator, while many of us never admit to it, we all want the chance to have our story seen and heard by more people than ever before. And that is the one thing that I always wanted to be a part of, having the chance to either write my story in a book or a memoir, or to showcase my story in the videos that I would create about Ruby, about Kylie, and letting the world know how I felt about them, because undeniably you guys have known me for loving Ruby for forever because of how sweet her character Bridget was. The young Queen of Hearts was somebody who was never really given much of a chance to really showcase her story and her potential, because I've always believed that Ruby's story was anything but having been told and completed, and I've held on to that for forever, because I think we could see a reemergence of characters even when we don't think it's possible. I think that people have been holding on to the belief that Dove Cameron is going to reprise her role for Mel for a very long time, and long enough that it could happen, but Dove Cameron keeps shutting the door on the chances of her ever reprising her Descendants role, so have Sophia Carson. But the one thing I've noticed about these stars is there's a special place reserved in their hearts for these characters, because they know without the characters and their contributions to these characters, they would never have been in the positions they're in. Nobody would probably even know who they were. Descendants really offered them an opportunity they took full advantage of, and they created so many memories, and we got the chance to share in these memories, and we have the chance to create our own memories in the form of YouTube channels, how we drew our favorite Descendants of Zombies characters, how we collected the merch, how we attended the Worlds Collide tour. We reviewed movies like Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires, which I had the time of my life reviewing because I knew it was going to be something special. We were saying goodbye to one generation of zombie stars and saying hello to another one. And I think that this generation of zombie stars is setting us up for the chance to really become a part of history. I've always wanted to go down in history and to be a part of history, standing on a stage, accepting an award for being one of the greatest content creators of all time, because it was so much fun, and it presented me with an opportunity to get to know more people than perhaps ever before. I've had the chance to share with you my story, but I've also had the chance to hear your stories, which I've had so much respect for. I have so much respect for every fan of Descendants of Zombies who has ever joined a gym because they saw what Kylie Cantrell had to endure and the pressure she was having to deal with. There is a considerable amount of pressure being a star in Hollywood. She had a chance to be as a part of events like the Worlds Collide Tour and the Masked Singer, but there are far more opportunities on the way for her, and she's really trying to stay ahead of the game while keeping up with the pressure. My heart always goes out to Kylie. My heart has forever been with Malia Baker. My heart will always be in support of Freya Sky, because you guys obviously have had these stars mean so much to them, so much so that you would dedicate your entire YouTube channels and your accounts to people like Freya and Kylie. There are people who watch these videos all the time, who are recommended these videos, and who have chosen this YouTube channel as their favorite Descendants of Zombies YouTube channel for how much I believe in a zombie apocalypse or an invasion happening for us. Because I think that if you've ever wanted to believe in something, Descendants of Zombies has given you a chance to believe in something. And I've seen thousands of people believe in the same things I have, my same theories, my same predictions, my character reviews, my predictions for the future of Descendants of Zombies, because I know how scary that future can seem to be on times for many people who watch these videos every night. And I want you guys to know, even with how scary the future seems to be on times, it's that uncertainty that makes that future seem so uncertain for us, because we never know what the future has in store for many of us. But do you guys think that I knew that when I created this YouTube channel I was going to have the chance to meet all of you and be a part of this experience with all of you? No, I didn't. I didn't think this YouTube channel would see 100 subscribers, much less 1,000, which eventually became 3,000, which eventually became over 120,000 channel views, which is a lot of views. That's a lot of views, man, and that's a lot of hurt. Because you believe in this person. You believe in this guy who creates all these wonderful videos. You just wanted to be a part of Disney and also all of its magic. I always wanted to be a part of all of Disney's magic, and how he told the stories of over 15,000 characters, which many have been forgotten about over the years, but I think as time passed, we gained a greater appreciation for every Disney character that he created over the last 100 years. From Mickey Mouse to Winnie the Pooh to Hercules to Aladdin, we've appreciated them all, and we've fallen in love with all of these stories. One of my favorite Disney classic stories was Aladdin and Jasmine's story from Aladdin in 1992. I never ever forgot that iconic magic carpet ride that Aladdin took with Jasmine, because all he ever wanted was to win Jasmine's heart and her trust. He realized he not only had to win her heart, but he had to win her trust, and however he had to do it, he was going to do it, and he wasn't going to let anybody or anything, any obstacles, stand in his way. With the help of Genie and Abu and the carpet, he eventually would go on to win Jasmine's heart, but he also had to win her trust, which oftentimes was very difficult to do. They faced their fair share of challenges and tribulations, but they were able to see it through because their love for each other outshined everything. And that's what we see in stories such as Zed and Addison's story, or the friendships between Red and Chloe and their story, because each time we have a chance of seeing this story, it is told differently. And that's the one thing I've loved about being a content creator for all of you, is having the chance to have the story told differently and to be very well received. I never imagined this YouTube channel will go on to become so well received by thousands of people who obviously saw something special in what I wanted to say about Ruby Rose Turner, who I think is the strongest person in the world. I remember her first ever song. It was called Ruby Rock, and she drives up in this ice cream truck and she said, "Hi, my name is Ruby." And I feel like I pretty much saw myself represented in songs like that, because I've been saying, "Hi, my name is Jonathan Clarke" for over almost 30 years. I never know how many people are going to watch these videos or how well received my videos have been, but ever since the very first moment I said, "Hi everyone, my name is Jonathan Clarke and I'm a fan of Descendants of Zombies," out of all the things I've been fans of, from professional wrestling to movies to TV shows to even video games, which I've collected thousands of over the years, you guys have been very well receiving of these videos, and you've been so responsive. You've been incredibly supportive of every video I've ever created, and if there was one niche that I could ever forever remain loyal to, it would be this one, because your love for these videos is truly unconditional. You guys don't care who I am. You don't care what I represent. The thing is, you just want to hear somebody say something really nice about your favorite stars, and I've loved doing it because in all reality, I thought they were the strongest people ever. They were forever fearless, and they were there for each other every step of the way. And I found time in admiring and appreciating that, because I think we think of ourselves in these situations where we have this one friend who's always there for us, who helps us see through everything, who helps us make sense of everything happening around us. And that's what's made this experience so special for me, is I had the chance to experience this. I saw people becoming the best of friends and feeling so strongly about their friendships and their relationships with people. I know oftentimes people have great difficulty making friends, but when you do, you quickly realize you only need 2 or 3 really good friends. You know, years ago, I thought I always had to be the most popular guy in school to get ahead, to join a sports team or to be a stronger person. But then I got some really valuable advice that I never ever forgot from my mom, who was a school teacher for over 30 years. And she looked at me and she said, "Jonathan, you don't need a whole lot of friends in this lifetime. All you need are 2 or 3 really good friends. And if you can hold on to and keep those 2 or 3 really good friends in your life, they will help you see through everything." And as time passed, I learned to gain a greater appreciation for those 2 or 3 really good friends who would always drive me nuts calling me every night, who would always want to invite me over to their house to play a new Nintendo 64 video game. Because I grew up in a very different generation than you guys. What are you talking about, Jonathan Clarke? Nintendo 64 is so 1997. I know. But I remember the summer that Nintendo 64 came out and how you would hang out with your friends if you weren't playing music in a shed because you had a dream of creating an indie band and going on to become some of the greatest rock stars of all time, was you would play Nintendo 64. I remember every Saturday playing Cruising USA or Mario 64 on a Nintendo 64 that would cost $250 following its release in the summer of 1997. Everybody wanted one, and if you didn't have a Nintendo 64, you weren't considered cool. So I remember going over to my friend's house. One of my very good friends' names was Michael, and we've moved on since our friendship became so important to us, but with different things happening for us in our lives. But we never ever forgot how we bonded. And when he got married in 2012, one of the stories he talked about in front of the reception was that he loved playing video games with his friends and watching professional wrestling, and one of his very good friends was me. And the thing was, that's how you bond. The point I'm trying to make is you bond over things like playing video games. You bond over things like Descendants of Zombies. And you never know how important or how much it means to somebody until they remind you of how important those times were that you spent together. Because you never return to those times. You never return to those generations. Like, for example, we are a part of a generation that we are never going to return to. I remember years ago when I was a creative writer for professional wrestling and I had to develop storylines for independent organizations and some of the big-time organizations. And we were coming out of a generation of stars such as The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H. And they looked at us in a creative meeting and they said, "We are a part of a generation. We are experiencing a generation that we are never going to return to because we had to leave the door more widely open for new stars to come in and kind of take over." And that's exactly what's happening for Descendants of Zombies. As much as we never want to say goodbye, we are saying hello to new stars. As much as we've never wanted to say goodbye to that Dove Cameron or that Sophia Carson or even Cameron Boyce, who God knows, Lord knows, he will forever and always hold a very special place in the hearts of every fan of Descendants of Zombies, especially mine, because I saw a level of appreciation. I had a level of appreciation for Cameron Boyce unlike anybody I had ever had the chance of profiling and talking about. I saw how much Peyton List meant to him. I saw how much Dove Cameron meant to him and their friendship. I cried many times when I saw photos of them, especially following his passing, because I wanted to be there for every fan and every person who knew him personally, because I know how difficult loss can be. I lost both of my parents when I was really young, and that was the most difficult thing that I ever had to go through. But what helped me see it through were all of you and how I could create these videos, and I had the chance to share with you my story about how big of a fan of Disney I was. The stories I shared I knew often were very funny, very emotional on times, but that's what brought us that much closer together, and that's what allowed me to develop this appreciation for every fan of Descendants of Zombies out there that I've loved sharing with you guys. These stories that I've shared with you are stories that will forever and always mean so much to me, and they mean even more to me because I had the chance to share them with you, sharing with you how I felt about Kylie and Ruby and how they may have been treated by Disney and how they may have been treated by critics, because they really were some of the strongest people ever. Every day Kylie Control goes to a gym, she lifts weights, and she becomes a stronger person, and she becomes more confident in herself, and I think we can find time in appreciating that. And something I see every day, there are people joining sports teams, there are people joining gyms themselves, trying to stay ahead of each other and stay ahead of the game, stay one level up, and I see nothing wrong with that because they draw inspiration from people like Kylie and Freya and Millie all the time. I myself have drawn inspiration from Kylie, Freya, and Millie all the time for the inspiration they give me to be an artist myself in my own right as a content creator. I will never forget when Meg Donnelly said the best choice that anybody could ever make is sit at home and become a full-time YouTube creator. She did that on American Housewife because she was talking truth. I think that's one of the reasons why we create YouTube. We create YouTube because we have a desire to want our story to be heard and seen by more people than perhaps we're ever given credit for. And I know this because this is what happened for me. My YouTube channel for some reason exploded in popularity overnight. I went on to create over 1,000 videos of Descendants of Zombies. This coming Friday, we will celebrate the 1,000th video having been uploaded and created for this YouTube channel. This never happened because of me and my heart and my dedication. This happened because of your heart and your dedication and how much you believe in the Worlds Collide Tour and you believe in these stars and you have posters of them all over your room and you probably have a shelf full of Descendants and Zombies dolls. I used to collect Gargoyles action figures. I used to collect Pogs. I used to collect professional wrestling figures. I probably was perceived by a loser for many years by a lot of girls, but the thing was, I thought it was so cool to collect things like professional wrestling action figures and Pogs and Gargoyle action figures, which were very detailed years ago. And the coolest thing in the world was never being afraid of letting the world know how you truly feel. And the same logic applies 25 and a half years later. Because I've had the chance to be a part of every generation. I've had the chance to relate to more people than I've perhaps ever been given credit for. And I've had so much fun. Because for every person who ever subscribes here, even if it's just one person every day, that means that somebody saw your video, heard your story, and gave you a chance, accepted you into their life and into this niche. Because ever since becoming accepted by this niche, the thing is, I've had a chance to have my story seen and heard by more people than ever before, and that means more to me than words could ever say. I find it very difficult to put into words how I truly feel about how accepting you guys have been of this story and how you've been with me every step of the way. The thing is, these stars and their stories began just like all of your stories are beginning. Many of you are trying to figure out your place in the world, and sometimes, more often than enough, it is very difficult to find a place in the world that is very cruel on times and very misleading and very not as understandable as what some of us may think. But it's our love for each other and our friendships that get us through. And that's what's been exemplified through Descendants of Zombies. This is what Descendants of Zombies is trying to tell you and make you realize is that the friendships you have, even if it's just 2 or 3 friendships that you hold on to for the rest of your life, that's what helps you see through everything and helps you make sense of everything going on around you. And I've really had the time of my life sharing with you my story about how I was a Disney fan, how I was a part of the Disney Renaissance era, and how I was a fan of all these cool video games and these incredible opportunities, every generation of entertainment, every aspect of Disney and Nickelodeon, every aspect of Descendants of Zombies. And I feel so excited to be a part of this future, which we are all setting ourselves up for to be a part of with all of you, because I think that having the chance to share with everybody your story is so cool, man. And I would love to share my story with even more thousands of people who love Descendants of Zombies with all their heart. In the final few moments I have in just my second podcast this morning, it is really early, just 10:08 in the morning, and I've already uploaded my second podcast. I would like to take this opportunity to say thank you to everybody who has been with me from the very first video that was ever uploaded there, especially the Freya Sky fan community, because the Freya Sky fan community, the fandom of Freya Sky, is incredibly supportive. They are oftentimes very difficult to win the hearts of, but when you do, you've truly got something to be grateful for, and it's the one thing that I know that will forever and always hold a very special place in my heart, because I had the chance to share with you my story, and you guys love that story. You love the funny stories I shared, the emotional stories on times, but that's what brought us that much closer together. So thank you to every member of the Freya Sky fandom for having having been with me from every video that has ever been uploaded here. I truly have had the time of my life. And I would love for you guys to join me once again tonight when I upload one final video with, once again, my thoughts, share with you guys on Descendants and Zombies and the futures of these franchises that undeniably we've all taken something special away from because of their stories, and how we saw something special in some of the strongest people we have ever witnessed in our lives. This is a generation that we've had the honor of being a part of, and that has held a very special place in our hearts. So I think we should celebrate it together, and there's no better way of honoring it than by doing it together, because you guys are what makes this YouTube channel truly special for me as the content creator of it, and you guys are what puts the magic behind every video that I've ever had the honor to create. So thank you from my heart to yours for being here, and most of all, being you, because forever and always there's only ever going to be one you, and you have to make the most of every opportunity life presents you with, because you never seem to know how much time you have to make the most of these opportunities. And there's no better way to make the most of these opportunities than by doing it together. That's how I see it, and that's what I've always believed. Thank you guys so much for having made this your favorite Descendants and Zombies YouTube channel of all time. Make the most of an opportunity today. Accomplish your dreams. Even if it doesn't happen for you today, it doesn't mean that it's never going to happen, because it happens for everybody. Everybody has a light, and everybody does eventually find that light. Thank you so much for having made this your favorite Descendants and Zombies YouTube channel of all time, and thank you so much, as always and forever, for having watched this video.